All right. Hi. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I'm on a little early just to get all set up. So let me see if I can. Just, no. Stream status. I guess it's telling me we're not receiving video data or fast enough rate. Your viewers may experience buffering, I see. Okay. Consequently, so hi. Well, hello everyone. Who do we have here? I'm a kibitz. Hi. Yes, I'm really doing well. Hi, joyful styles. That's a nice handle. I'm just going to see if I can tell me if indeed I'm buffering, because that's what it's telling me that might happen. And if so, I'll go back. Hopefully not. That's good. Okay, great. Woohoo. All right, well, we still have a little time before we officially begin this tarot talk with Ava. So if you want to say something, or we just wait, see if anyone shows up, anyone else. And of course, we're going to discuss the card that you can see right there, the Fool, as the beginning of our discussion about the major arcana as a visual scripture, because that's what it is. So we'll just hang on a little bit. We've got a few more minutes. Same thing happens in my yoga class when I'm out on the beach. Everyone comes either late or just on time. So, yes, Mama. I'm glad to be your mama. Where are you from? Where are you? Where's your home? Where are you watching from? You could tell me that. Joyful, do you want to tell me where you're from? Chattanooga. Wow, isn't that a poetic name for a town? Chattanooga. The Chattanooga Choo Choo, right? Stacy, hi. Hi there, yes. Chattanooga's Choo Choo. Hi, Stacy, welcome. Tay-time from Atlantic, Canada. You mean the Atlantic side of Canada? Vancouver and such? I've been there. I've lived there. I loved it. Joe. Now, some of these are tongue twisters, you know that. um, Joe Buinski. And look what we have. Could you not get easier names here? Cygnus Star Scream. Oh my. Hello from Seattle. Hello, New Brunswick. That's Canadian. Yes. I've never been to New Brunswick. I was raised from Vancouver all the way across to Toronto, but we never made it past Toronto. All right, so we still have a couple of minutes, so I'll give people some time to get here. Well, welcome everyone. I really appreciate you coming to this first tarot talk. And I might reiterate for those who just joined us that this is all about the Fool as the very first initiation into this spiritual journey that's mapped out symbolically through the major arcana, the 22 cards of the major arcana. Well, thank you for being here. McKibbins. I wonder what the I stands for. I'm so glad you're all here. We still have a few minutes. It's very much like my yoga class. I always look at my watch to see that I don't start too early and have people running, ironically, to yoga. Oh, so nice of everyone to show up. When we do start, I'll start with our tuning forks to give us a quick ride into a more deep and meditative state. Does it stand for Irene? That's a beautiful name, Irene. One of my favorite. Super small world. Are you from the same place? Yes, you are. All right, it is 5 p.m. So, quite officially, we begin. There we go. Now we take a deep breath and we settle in. So you probably, most of you have been to my readings. I've been reading tarot on YouTube for 6 years now, 3 on my channel and 3 on a previous channel. And I've always intended to have my readings not only give you a prognostication, a forecast for your individual star signs, zodiac signs, but because I use a simple 4-card spread, I wanted you to learn to read the cards because it's invaluable. It's one of the most beautiful tools for self-understanding and understanding situations in your life that need more spiritual insight. Sometimes we're too close to events to really see our role in it, or how we can help our situations, our life circumstances be the best they can for our soul. Now, the major arcana is the place in which most of the spiritual counseling happens in the tarot. It is actually a spiritual path to enlightenment, with a beginning and an end. And with the Fool, we have the beginning. So what I'm going to do, if you'll let me, is I'm going to expound on the symbols in the cards here in the beginning. So we have a firm grounding in what those symbols are and what they mean. And then we'll be able to discuss that afterwards. So let me begin. I put the card close up to the camera so that you can all see it. And it would be, if you had your own card at home, the Waite Rider deck is the one I use, the one I prefer. It's the best thought out symbolic deck of all the ones I found out there. Ironically, it's also the most popular, the most readily available. Hello, Mr. Mensa. I just saw you. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. So we begin. I want you to look at the card as I tell you about it. The Fool is the most complex, enigmatic, and difficult to interpret card in the whole deck. Even amongst the 22 cards of the major arcana, which are spiritual in nature, this is the most enigmatic, difficult. And this is because the symbolism in this card is the most remote from our everyday consciousness and our everyday experiences in life. It is absolutely transcendent, the most transcendent card of the 22 cards of the major arcana. So let's begin by examining what we see in the card. First of all, we see a young man dressed in a beautiful, mysteriously designed gown or robe or cloak. Do you see that? All right. I hope you can see the card at home. He carries a backpack over his right shoulder, holding it with his right hand. And in his left hand, he holds a white rose. As you can see, he is perched on the very edge of a high cliff, which, if you look at it, if you examine it even more closely, that cliff is about to break off. It's crumbling beneath his feet. Now look at the card even closer. There's a very playful white dog at his feet. Do you see? Playing. It's as carefree as he is. In the background of the card, what we see is, or are, iced, snow-covered mountains. And we see that he's very high up because the mountains are more or less parallel to him. So he's high up in the mountains. There's a clear blue sky all around him. But he's high up in the air with that blue sky around him. And the sun is very close to him, very powerful. The rays are almost touching him. All of these symbols really mean something and point to a reality beyond our everyday experiences. How? How does this happen? Well, if we step back from the card a little and look at it from a distance now, the symbolism of the primal 4 elements, the 4 elements of water, air, earth, and fire, are to be found clearly evident in this card. Very much unlike all the other cards in the entire deck of the tarot. Each card of the deck has some of those 4 symbols, or they're not as apparent. But all 4 are very apparent here. You see, the water is shown in the snowy mountains behind the Fool. The earth is represented or indicated by the cliff on which the Fool stands. The air by the blue sky and the air that surrounds him. And the fire by the bright burning sun above him. So you see, this is the sum total of all of creation embodied in this one card. They're all present and so evident. It's saying that all the elements are there. The Fool, you can't see it because I have it secured at the bottom. But the number of the Fool is at the bottom of the card. And that number is 0. And this is probably the most important symbol of the card, because this stands for the fact that this card stands outside of all the other 21 cards of the major arcana, because as it is not yet it hasn't become any number. It hasn't become anything, any object, any event. This number, 0, represents the condition before anything is created. In fact, it's like the silence before the Word of God created the universe. It's the silence before the Word. This is what gives the biggest hint, in my opinion, as to the ultimate meaning of the card. This is that very pregnant moment before the manifestation of a thought or a dream or an idea, before it becomes material reality. This is so sacred This is a very holy and sacred state of being. When it's describing this state of being, when you're still one with your divine spiritual essence, before your fall into the material plane, let me just sum up this a little, and then I'll speak with you about it. Let's look at the card again. That would be a better. Let's look at the card again. Do you see, as I mentioned, that cloak, that robe that he's wearing? If we look at it closely, the robe is so remarkable. There are wheels depicted on it, bursts of stars, almost like starbursts on it. This symbolizes the galaxies which God will soon create. And beyond that, there are 12 of them. And 12 is again a sacred, holy number. 12 is the number of galaxies, constellations, zodiac signs. 12, the 12 tribes of Israel. There are 12 hours to the day, 12 hours to the night. You see, this symbolizes the totality of the manifest universe. The Fool is literally wrapped in the whole physical universe. You see how beautiful the symbolism really is when you think of it as a scripture. And even small things about it. If you look at his backpack, I don't know if you can see it from here, but there's a picture of an eagle on it. The eagle, symbolically, animates air. It brings air to life. The rose that he holds in his right hand animates the water that's symbolized, frozen behind him. It brings it to life, you see? And the little dog, that little white dog, that's an animal representing the force of animus, the life force itself. This is the potential animated energy that's waiting for the descent, the fall into material matter, into material reality. You see that? How beautiful the composite of it is. This story is told in such a simple fashion. This card, esoterically is known as the vast countenance of God, and is about our own pure spiritual essence just before our personality had any specific attributes. You see, this is the deepest meaning of the card. the deepest spiritual meaning of the card. But there are other hints in there, even more. See how complex it is. Even more than that, notice his expression, the fool's expression. Remember, he's on a cliff. He's about to go over. He's about to fall into the unknown. But his expression is carefree. He's not concerned. He's not worried about what's going to happen to him. You see, he knows that there are going to be many difficult trials, maybe tragedies, sufferings that he will have to experience, as well as many triumphs, joys, ecstasies even, that he'll have to experience. But the fool knows who he really is. And he does not care whether he succeeds or fails, because he knows that he's an infinite being, eternal being, who's simply going to enjoy the play, the game, life. And finally, I'll wrap it up. The fool has another association, and this is with the concept of the fool, the court jester. The court jester is very famous in literature. I think even Shakespeare made mention many times of the fool in the court, because the fool, half of the time, is silly, stupid, nonsensical. But the other half of the time, he's the only one that the king trusts to tell him the absolute truth. Meaning that the idea of God or spirit, the invisible realms, may appear to be illogical, absurd, ridiculous, and those who hold the belief in that realm may be thought of as foolish. But the truth of that realm is absolute. Ta-da! The fool. So, all right, let's see what you have to say here. All right. We'll start from up here when I started. All right. Apostles, yes. Disciples. So true. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. I want you to kind of digest that a little bit. If you have any comments about those ideas contained in the card, feel free. And if I see that something that somebody out there might be interested in developing or furthering, we can do that. But what I thought that you could participate with me in a little while with is the idea of taking the fool and imagining the fool as landing, for instance, in our 4-card spread, because I know you're familiar with it if you watched my readings. And these delineations of the 4 cards being the overall environment, the challenge, the unexpected, and the outcome. The fool can be interpreted in different ways in these positions. So I'll put it out to you in a little while as to what you think it would mean if you saw the card landing in any one of these 4 positions, all right? If you want to start now, just let me know. Or if you have anything else that you want to add to what I've said, is there anything else you know about the Fool that I may not know? All right. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's a beautiful card. And when I see the Fool in the reading, I get these layers, you see, of meaning that go through me. And each one of them drive my intuition in a different direction. And this is what it's meant to do. In a pragmatic reading, for instance, if you're just reading about will something happen or won't it happen, all in all, the Fool means it's a commitment to a specific action. When you see the Fool, it's saying that you need to make a commitment to a specific action, or there has been a commitment to a specific action. Or if you're looking for a solution, then the solution would be to commit to a specific action. Yes, the common perspective of the Fool is that it is an idiot. But as you wisely stated, there's so much more to it. And they had a respect also for what you might say is schizophrenia, or some sort of, a personality that was eccentric, because they could always perceive the hidden truth. And often children who have not yet built a strong, reasonable mind also can pinpoint the truth. So from the mouths of children and alcoholics, apparently, you get the truth. Life is beautiful indeed. That's it. That's it. So, all right. I wanted to mention too, it just came to mind. There's something else that's very beautiful that's never mentioned really in many interpretations of the card. But if you think of the Fool as both you and God, that you're partaking in the powers of creation, God has given you also the power to create your life through your thoughts, through your ideas, through your beliefs. You see, as the Fool is stepping off the cliff into the material world, his final cry as he leaps from the cliff is, I will be what I will be. I will be what I will be. And this is the power of creation, the power of your will, the power of your thoughts, the power of your beliefs, summed up in this phrase that the Fool cries out, I will be what I will be. And it's a tremendous power we have in life. And if you realized it, then you wouldn't be frivolous with that power. You'd use it to create the most rich, enriching, soul satisfying life conditions that you can, that you're able to. And that's what the Fool is all about. So, yes, you may ask a question. Of course, you may ask a question. Ask away. Trust and commitment. Yes, it's true. Yes, yes, like a beginning and an end. This card is a beginning and an end too. It's the Alpha Omega. This is where we come back to. So we start again once we've created a life, once we've created the dream, we come back. And you see, in that backpack that the Fool carries, not only is the symbol of the eagle important, but the contents of that backpack is also symbolic. In other words, we don't come without a set of skills and a set of personality proclivities or talents, reservoirs of previously explored areas of our being that we keep with us in that little backpack so that we enter the world with that, not completely naked. That's why we get prodigies born with tremendous talents already in that little backpack that the Fool carries. So, say the Fool lands in the position of the overall energy. Say we're doing a reading for the upcoming month. What do you think would be the words or ideas that come to your mind as to what the nature of that overall energetic feeling of the month would be? Give me, if you have any, if you want to contribute, I'll read it. Yes, that's beautiful. Yes. It's been said that the Fool will go where angels fear to tread. That's it. So I can't give you that. I can't give you a personal insight into any kind of relationship you might be having right now. I apologize, but we need to keep it focused on the subject matter. Um, that kind of thing needs meditation and a kind of intense focus. So forgive me. Yes. Or if you want to help, if anyone else wants to help them, listen to what I feel. If the first card you see in a reading is the Fool, it's saying that you need to adopt the attitude that the Fool represents, which is the attitude of feeling completely confident in the skills that you have, in your ability to manifest the dream, the idea, the impulse that you have, that you mustn't fear the consequences of that, that you must, in fact, take a leap of faith. That's what they all say in these interpretations of the card, to take a leap of faith, having faith in yourself, having faith in the universe, having faith in your power to create the best possible outcome. Not to be naive, but to be trusting, to be confident, and yet to be free of fear, of worry, and self-doubt. That's a sort of summary of what you would see in your own life, or what you would need to apply in your own life. If you lay all the major arcanas in a row, yes, Natalie? Yes, you can do that. But as I said, there's an intense amount of information, symbolic information in every one of these cards. And so to dwell on them like this, one at a time, and then at the end, sort of step back and see the journey of the Fool, then you really do get almost a biblical description of our own life experiences, those challenges that we meet on our own journey through life, because we are attempting always to rejoin God, to live at the highest awareness of our own spiritual nature while we are experiencing the material reality. I remember reading that in, I think it was Alexandria, when there was still a reverence for these ideas of spiritual connection and ascension, and where people would go to these temples to be initiated, that there was a temple in which there were huge tablets as you walked into the hall, or the entrance into the temple, and these tablets had the symbols of the tarot on them, and people would then seat themselves in front of each one for deep meditation and contemplation, working their way through each one, spending time with their specific guru, their teacher. So this is how sacred the tarot was to our ancient ancestors. So then, if the Fool landed in the position of the challenge, then the interpretation would be that we've become too rigid, too calculated, too materialistic, too caught in the web of everyday life, that we need to step outside and to view it from a child's perspective, from the perspective of someone who's not as invested in it, who can see it from a more spiritual perspective, and to give those conditions, those circumstances, some of your insight, your intuitive insight, to trust yourself deeply. That's the counsel of it when found in the position of the challenge. It might literally mean that you have to let go of life as you've been leading it, if that's a major step into the unknown, by making a major move, a major uh, changing your world drastically, and just living in the moment. That's the idea of it in that position. Yes, yes, that's a very good insight. Stacy says, when the Fool card appears in my reading, it always makes me excited to know I'm on the right track. Exactly. Because it is an uplift. It's about you and God as one being, that you are possessed of the power to create your life. This is an exciting opportunity when you see it in your reading. You see, so you want to get very excited when you see it, and you sort of the spark that's shown in the design of his cloak, the stars bursting out, the fire, the inspiration bursting out. That's what it gets you excited, being excited about life, excited about what's going to happen, you see. Well, when it's in the position of the unexpected, well, then you get a double dose of the unexpected. You can literally um, expect the unexpected, because something extraordinary out of the blue, without any preamble, without any warning, positive, mind you, magic is to be expected. Poof, out of nowhere, something dramatic changes. This is when I see the Fool in the position of the unexpected, that's the most exciting position of all. Because even if you don't know how to bring this in, the universe is going to help you. The universe is already out there creating the circumstances, weaving together the events, the peoples, the ideas, so that you can experience an event that lives somehow outside of your normal everyday experiences, and it comes in to awaken you, to the extraordinary possibilities of that moment, of that uh, epoch of your life. And in the position of the outcome, well, the inevitability comes when you see it in the position of the outcome, so that no matter what you do, no matter how hard you're going to try to prevent this new, this newness, this freshness, this bringing in of uh, almost like a kind of crazy outcome, a totally um, uh, eccentric outcome, that there's an inevitability to it, that all the other cards previous to the seeing of the card in the last position lead up to it. So you get hints and clues as to how this might manifest, but it's simply drawing the conclusion. It's saying this is the inevitable result. So become aware, open your heart, open your mind. It's going to happen. That's the outcome. So we've got quite a bit of time here. I was going to go for a whole hour if I could with the card, if there were enough to talk about. But I see you always get the Fool. Do you? Hello, glowing vegan. So sweet of you to come. And do you know why you always get that card in your readings? Do you have a clue as to why you might always get that card in your reading, glowing vegan? No, you don't. It's mysterious. Are you of the nature of the Fool? Would you classify yourself as being like the Fool in any way? If you want to share that with us. Because you are. Yes, you are like the Fool. You are. Well, you must know one another, glowing vegan and Mr. Mensa. Yes, I get the Fool in my readings a great deal as well. And it's due perhaps to the fact that I covet that kind of experience. I covet the nature of the Fool as something that I would like for my being to be like. And also, I see the Fool as a way of sort of breaking up rigidity. And I, as a Scorpio rising, because I see Scorpio, I, as a Scorpio is a fixed sign. Pisces is mutable. So I'm both fixed and mutable, meaning I can adapt, and yet I often get rigid because I love to do the same thing. I love good habits, and I get habituated. I do the same thing every single morning, and then I come home and I sort of have this set patterned routine, and which is good, but sometimes it's not good in that there feels as if there's also a need in me to be far more spontaneous. So when you see the card in your reading frequently, it's a call to be spontaneous, to be real, to not plan every single moment, to not plan every single idea. That is what this card may mean, in that if you see it a lot in your readings. All right. Let me see. I love this. I love how I can see all of you. Look at you all. Oh, how beautiful. So, that I think is a fairly good summary of what the Fool is all about. Is there, when we think of this, do you believe in your heart of hearts, do you believe that it's true that you do have the power of the Fool to create with your will, with your thoughts, with your beliefs, the life that you want to lead? Do you believe that in your heart? I'm asking you. Or do you doubt? You see, when we doubt that, when we doubt our own spiritual, eternal soul, this is when we lapse into periods of depression, periods of fatigue, of a sense of hopelessness, perhaps. Cynicism. I think cynicism is probably the greatest disease of modern man. Built in cynicism about what is invisible, spiritual, eternal, about our soul. And we get locked into seeing the material world as our only reality. And the Fool is a reminder that our reality is deep, eternal, infinite, and that we are beings with infinite potential to create, and to do so with a sort of almost wild abandon. That's the ideal of the card, is to create with a wild abandon. Because after all, you have to trust in the beauty of yourself, in the beauty of how this reality is composed. It's composed from spirit. Everything comes from spirit. That's the meaning of the card. That before the world, the universe was made, you were. God was. And that's what the card ultimately is saying. When you see it in a mundane reading, say that you're just trying to figure out what to do, then just take a more light and carefree attitude towards life. Drop the cynicism, drop your skepticism, and enjoy with the freedom, knowing that you will be forever who you are. This is the lovely message of the card. So, anything else? Are there any questions that you have? I'll take them now if you have any. I'll wait. If you have any, I'll answer them. If you don't, then we'll wrap it up real soon here. I'll wait. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, vegan. That's so sweet. So have you been a vegan all your life? I might as well just ask you a plain old question. Have you been a vegan most of your life, as I have mine, or is it recent? I saw your channel, by the way. You should go, everyone, to Glowing Vegan's channel. It has lots of good information about veganism, which of course I advocate. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And as you can see, I don't know if you heard all of my presentation about the why it's a symbol for enlightenment, but you can watch this later and see it's extremely deep and powerful. Am I clairvoyant? My friend, we are all clairvoyant, every last one of us. You couldn't even have language without clairvoyance. There's a certain amount of telepathy that takes place as you speak. You don't know exactly how you're even going to finish a particular sentence. There has to be a little bit of telepathy even there when you have a close relationship with someone. You often make deep connections with that person, almost being able to read their mind, knowing when they're going to come home, where they are. Mothers with their children are often deeply telepathic, knowing when their children are in trouble or when they've experienced something extraordinary. Everyone is telepathic and clairvoyant. Those who make a profession out of it, as I do, simply focus on that particular aspect of the psyche and allow for the, what shall I say, the qualities of information coming from the subconscious world, the superconscious world, to imprint themselves on the conscious mind. There may be initially a confusion between what is your imagination and what is pure data information coming from the subconscious or superconscious mind. But there are indications on a feeling level as to the difference between these two categories of information. It's a learning process. It's not mysterious. You simply pay attention. It's sort of like learning how to play the piano or an instrument. You have to practice. You have to do it over and over again. Now, there are some people who are born with a talent for playing instruments, and they don't have to work as hard at it. And there are people who are born with clairvoyant or telepathic powers that are already strong and in place. But everyone is from spirit. Everyone is born from spirit. And that cord, that umbilical cord to spirit is never severed. Never. Never when you're alive is it severed. But that cord is cut when you die. Yes, that's the only time it's cut. And often, before one's death, you can even get a clairvoyant impression of your coming death. Many people have reported feeling when their death is imminent. This is also possible. But more or less, people get deep impressions, deep clairvoyant impressions, mostly when there's something more dramatic happening in their life. And then it's strong and very recognizable. You see, I hope that helps here. Let's see. 3 years and a few months you've been a vegan. All right. Well, that's good. That's good. That's very good. That's a long time. It's hard. There's so many cultural, I don't know, blocks or obstacles that you have to overcome. Even the cravings that foods come with have to be overcome. But I find that if your veganism comes from a moral imperative that it's easy. Very, very easy. And for anyone out there who doesn't realize the brutality behind eating meat, the hidden brutality behind that, please avail yourself of that information, because this is the best way for you then to become a vegan. And by becoming a vegan, not only do you stop that brutality or not contribute to it, but there isn't a diet on earth better for you than a plant-based, hopefully organic as much as you can, diet, excluding things like white flour, sugar, alcohol, and what else? I suppose those are the greatest sins, dietary sins I can think of. Oh, yes, was your first month the most difficult? I can't remember because I became one so many years ago. I've forgotten the struggle. You're a singer. Oh, you mustn't. You see, the tarot isn't anything really but symbols. The fear is in you. The shadows are in you. Absolute. Everything is in you. The mind can be purified of them, of the fears, of the shadows, and must be purified of them. The tarot has nothing to do with that. There is, in esoteric, the world of esoteric knowledge and wisdom, there's white magic and black magic. Having, not that the magic is real outside of yourself, the magic is within you. You can create with dark magic, or you can create with white magic. The dark magic means that you're creating with fear, with hate, with violence. You can create with that. You can create your world with that. Or you can create your world with good, with joy, with love. It's a choice. And we are given that choice. That's the power we're given, is the power of choice. And often we hide our own insecurities. We push them down into the subconscious. We don't want to deal with them. Then when we use things like the tarot or any kind of esoteric tool to get in touch with our deeper being, then we're going to find those shadows side by side with the good. We mustn't ever run from that. Like in a dream when you're being pursued by some monster and you keep running and running from that monster. All you have to really do is turn around, face it, and it will dissolve immediately in front of you because it comes from you. It is from you. You see? That's right. That's right. You're a Gemini. Are you Titan? Tea time. Tea time. I guess it must mean tea time. Yes. Oh, yes. Well, glowing vegan. Yeah. You're definitely on the path for sure. Definitely. I congratulate you. I applaud you. I admire that in you. So, okay, we is there anyone that has any more questions, any more ideas to share? Let me know right now. Natural home birth, you don't drink toxins. Good, 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 good. I'm 67. I practice yoga every day. I'm never ill, ever, ever ill. And I'm always energetic. It comes from veganism, it comes from yoga, and it comes from a positive attitude towards spirit and towards life. What does it mean? It does mean tea time. I thought you said it didn't. And you're Virgo. Oh, I'm Pisces. All right. I'll give you a few moments. If you have any questions, just let me know. If not, then we'll sum it up soon here. And we'll archive it, so people can see this later on. And I'll put it in my tarot school playlist. And we'll have them all assembled from the Fool all the way into the world or the universe, the last card of the major arcana. And it will be, yes, it will be wonderful to make this kind of progress, to see the beautiful symbols come to life, and to comment on them if you'd like. Cancer, yes, of course you're Cancer. I know that, Mr. Mensa. And it's tea time for you in England, isn't it? Soon. Or is it? It must be late there. How could it be tea time? All right, good. I'm glad tea time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mensa. Thank you, Stacy Lee. Thank you, Glowing Vegan. Thank you, Safak, Natalie, Smoke, Natalie. All right, I think that's everyone. Oh, and Sorensen. Sorensen. That's an unusual one. All right. Okay. All right, good. All right. Thank you, everyone. And the next card, obviously, one of my other favorite cards of the major arcana will be the Magician, a fascinating card indeed. So I'll see you next time. Yes, so be sure to share and join, and also to hit that silly bell that YouTube now insists that everyone get in order to be notified. So thank you very much, all of you. I love you. Thank you for coming. Namaste. And I'll see you next time.